Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Welcome to Cotman Crawford and the Jersey Guy podcast. Gentlemen, how are you?
How you doing?
Doing great.
Good.
Right.
So we're here for another podcast.
Yes, another fantabulous podcast.
420 is upon us, and we decided to do
A two-part.
a two-part.
Oh, yeah. Here's a two-parter?
In a sense, yeah.
Okay.
Because hemp is involved.
Yes.
So is
Hemp.
bamboo.
Dude, bamboo. I don't know why that shit, bamboo for me is like relaxing.
It can be.
Yeah, like just looking at the bamboo forest kind of stuff.
Yeah, it does look.
Yeah,
it's
I don't
a
know why.
nice
For me.
scenic.
Yeah, for me.
I like bamboo. A lot of people hate bamboo.
Yeah.
Like they not hate it for its aesthetic, but they're like, if you have bamboo growing hard, you can't
Yeah.
get rid of it.
It grows
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it will grow, and so will hemp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so sidebar.
And that's the whole idea of it because it's so
Abundant.
abundant,
Well,
and you
the
can use it for almost what they just
For
pretty
different
much
things.
for
So now
different
here's
things.
a
Yeah.
little bit, like I said, the sidebar, one of those things that I had learned a long time ago, totally useless facts, I guess. But when they used to capture people, when they used to fight in Asia, and they would capture people to torture them, they would lay them down on the sprouts of the bamboo and leave them there.
Oh, and
And
let
the
it grow.
bamboo would literally grow through their
Oh,
bodies.
come on.
That's serious. No
that's-
lie, bro.
That's crazy,
Yeah,
man.
like that was the torture stuff. You
That's
tell us what we
wrong.
need to know now. I'm not speaking. Fuck you. And then like, oh yeah, okay, hold that. And then you start to feel it go through you, and it would just end up like growing right through them because the bamboo shoots are so
My
strong.
God, that is sick.
Yeah, isn't that crazy though?
That would be a cool horror movie, though.
I'm
Something
just
in a horror movie.
it was reality.
I know, but to put that in a horror movie.
to
would
put
be
it in a
cool.
horror movie. Well, no, it takes too long.
No, but I'm
That's
saying you'd have
exhausting.
to do it where you found someone
Yeah.
that happened to.
Right. Oh yeah. Damn,
You
dude,
know?
I'm telling you, man, it's cool, right? Just a little dumb
Yeah,
shit
I'm
that I
just
know.
picturing that. It's just
Yeah, that's just crazy. Yeah,
messed
it
up.
was
they
on
say-
Mythbusters and stuff like that.
They say, it, like I said, it grows quickly.
The hemp grows quickly,
Mhm.
and the
Doesn't
bamboo,
require a lot of water.
right? Mm-hmm.
Less than cotton. Naturally pest resistant,
Yeah. Okay.
so it needs fewer pesticides.
Well, so where does the hemp come from?
Cleans the soil. I'm not even trying to pronounce that word. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Absorb heavy metals.
Mm-hmm.
So more CO2 than most plants per acre.
Okay.
This is hemp. Yields more fiber per acre than cotton or trees.
Yeah.
So it's amazing
That's what I'm
because
saying. So it
Just
creates
use that.
more- Yeah. Why are we not using hemp instead for paper and stuff?
because it's
it-
cheap and it's
Yeah.
you would think because it is abundant, you would just
Yeah.
you can grow it anywhere,
Right.
and it
Just-
grows fast.
And you know what? That was one of our cash crops when our country was a founding country was hemp.
Yes.
For the rope, because hemp is very good rope.
Right.
I mean, it's still used today for rope.
Right.
Mhm.
It is still used today for rope.
Right.
That's usually when you see cloth rope, that's hemp. Usually, it's very that basket weavy.
Right. Yeah.
That
It just boggles the mind. Like you can use this, but why don't you use this? Why do we have to use this that has all these chemicals in it and things that you
Right.
know?
To process it and
Right.
everything.
What are they call forever chemicals
Mhm.
now? Is what they're
Right.
saying. They're
Mhm.
stuck with you regardless.
Mhm.
They're in your body already.
Yeah. And that's the crazy part because that's the money part. Because of having that to grow the trees over again or whatever, they probably figuring that making the hemp products.
Or they lose money, but they would
they would
sell
end up
so
losing
much they would hope that the hemp would grow fast enough
Yeah.
for them to freaking make the money they can.
Well,
make
it's the
it
same
off
thing
that.
like with the hemp clothes. The hemp clothes is more like a linen.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not even like the jeans that is going to be warmer. So the hemp clothing would work, in warmer climates.
I don't know. I think you
But-
can make
but
anything
I
out of
think,
it. This stuff now, pretty
I
much.
think the only problem with the hemp clothing is it's not as soft as cotton. I think that might be the problem. I don't think you can use it for everything, right?
Okay.
Isn't it like a grainier?
What's that?
Yeah,
Hemp?
The hemp. Yeah. So like making hemp clothes, if that would be
Well,
beneficial.
Here we go. So, sustainable jobs. Hemp and bamboo industries create jobs in framing, processing, construction, textiles, paper, biodegradable plastics. Versatile, both can be used for clothing, food, paper, biofuel, construction materials like hempcrete, and even plastics. Low maintenance farming, low import input costs for water, pesticides, fertilizers compared to crops that cotton trees use for lumber and paper.
There you
I
go.
mean, you don't have to cut down trees. If you don't have to cut down trees, just fucking grow this shit.
Right.
Exactly.
I hate it. I gotta be honest with you. When I see a tree cut down and they're doing construction on the side of the road like they're doing in Middletown,
Right.
I hate it. It's like they just tore them down just to put something there for whatever reason.
Right.
Maybe it's a good reason, but still, it's like it's trees, man.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
Yeah. And I feel you because like even across the street from one of our buildings that they're getting ready to start building soon.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I feel you. But like you were saying, Tom, hemp tends to be more expensive and less readily available than like cotton.
Yeah.
So that then it's not as, so it would cost more. So the hemp is more expensive than the cotton.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
yeah.
it's so much better for the environment.
Yeah. Again,
So either way, it works out.
Well, that's where the thing comes in. So it's cheaper as far as, to get it, to make it and whatnot. But, financially,
Yeah, but it does all this
business-wise
stuff.
speaking,
Got it. Yeah.
it's just, you're going to make
Textiles
more
and
money
hemp,
for the what's
bamboo fabrics are breathable,
right,
They gotta find a way to make it
Antimicrobial.
cheaper. That's all.
right.
UV resistant, and biodegradable.
But see,
Food hemp
now,
seeds are highly nutritious, rich in protein, omega-3s, and fiber.
Yeah, I've got I had a lot of cereals that have hemp seed. Like
Yeah,
I used to
right,
make this hemp
yeah.
seed granola cereal.
Mhm.
It's a good one.
yeah,
But both these things grow in abundance. That's the whole point. You're getting it. It's gonna. If you manufactured it and you
Right.
grew it,
hmm
you would have it all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of, I guess people are greedy. They rather put shit and chemicals in food and with papers and to make their money
right.
rather than doing the right thing. But I get it. I understand what you're saying.
Right, because I mean, so we're saying as far as the difference between cotton and hemp, so that then hemp fabric can be slightly stiffer and more textured than cotton, though it softens with use.
Right.
So that then, when you first buy it, people that have, like sensory issues or they just don't like the way that it feels on their skin,
I guess.
they may not, they're going to wash it 10 times before they use it. Before they actually wear it on a
Right.
regular basis and stuff like that. So, I guess it just depends on the person, but at the same time, I think for me, and I'm going to go along with what you're saying, Lou, it is worthwhile because it's cheaper and whatnot, because it'd be the same thing if you're wearing silk, polyester.
And if you can grow it at
rayon,
will.
And if you can grow it at will and, no big deal, like almost like, well, no, because you don't have to.
It's
it doesn't- it grows
environmentally
whenever.
safe.
Yeah.
It's all of the above.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
getting more benefit out for your buck
Yeah.
that way, I think.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they're not there yet.
Now, you said that it was stronger than it was good enough to use for construction.
Yeah.
So that then even with that.
Hempcrete, I guess it was called hempcrete.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Dude,
That's
can you
wild.
imagine? Yep. Now, when you turn around and you use it in the building.
Yeah, hempcrete. Versatile. Both can be used in clothing, food, paper, biofuel, construction materials like hempcrete, and even plastics.
Yeah, see? So that then it will be really groovy.
So they're mixing it with other stuff too.
Yeah. You would still need the wood for the framing of a building or metal, like steel or whatever for the frame.
I don't know what
But
you're
you
getting
can-
at.
Because I'm saying, no, you said like the hempcrete. So it's more like the concrete to build put the outside of the building, or like even down south. So like down
Or
south.
the lay brick or whatever you're going to do, I guess. It depends on what you're using it for.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. But they'll still have to use wood for the framing because the hemp is for the concrete part. Like hempcrete, that would be like the cementing.
That'd be used to block or whatever
Yeah,
you
like
do.
the block. I'm sorry. Right. And
Block
like
or
the brick and
bricks
stuff like
or
that.
whatever.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but it would still be a good mix. And, and if it's, well, not if, it's reading here that it's stronger, that then it would probably work better down in, Hurricane Alley or Tornado Alley, like in the United States, and, for houses and huts and stuff like that to be worth, it would stay up. It wouldn't be knocked down or whatever, in those places that they have the wild weather. You know what I'm saying? So like, so like I said, Tornado Alley in the Midwest.
Right.
So then if you build the houses out of the hempcrete,
Right.
it'll probably be stronger
Right. Well, they're building stuff that's so. You see the 3D printers they have now that do with the concrete.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's crazy.
So then if you use hempcrete
right.
instead of just the regular, say, plastics or whatever the 3D
if
printers
it's there and it's in abundance and you can get it, it will. I mean, and honestly, when you think about it, that's what it was there for. When you think about it.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like you're hurting anything.
No. Yeah. Right. And like you said, because there's more of it, you can build it up more.
Right.
Hell yeah.
Safe environment.
Yeah.
It helps your future generations. You go in that direction, it's a totally different story.
Yeah. And
you would think so anyway.
Well, I'm not going to lie, bro. Until you brought it to us, you say you wanted to do the episode on this. Well, actually, the both of you guys killed it with the ideas for the weed and the hemp. I'm not even going to make dip. Like, I'm literally like, whoa. Like, I'm really stuck because I didn't think about how these things can help us.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Like I said, the last couple of episodes, well, not the last couple, but the episodes that we've done as far as what the medicinal benefits for marijuana, now the hemp coming off of the plant, you and what you did on the last episode. I'm like, what? And I said, and me reading on it, I'm like, no way. Like, there's I never thought that there would be this many things that hemp would be used for,
or
could be used for, that it's worthwhile. Like I said, I'm reading here, a natural moisture regulation. Hempcrete is breathable, allowing moisture to move through the walls, preventing mold and dampness. So again, if we're building out of that instead of concrete in your basements, you wouldn't have those kind of leaks in your basement.
Maybe not.
You know what I'm saying?
It's like the person who's doing it knows what he's doing.
Yeah, Pest and fire resistant. Hempcrete is naturally resistant to pests and rot, and it has a high fire rating. So it's like
another one too.
So that's a safety thing
the
right
burn
there.
rate, I think, on some of this stuff that they're coming out with now is like, it doesn't burn. It takes so much for it to get to that point. But that stuff's expensive, but that's the future, and that's where the direction you want to go in, right? When you think about it.
It would only be expensive because nobody knows the process.
Right, but once it starts to pick it up,
right? Because think about it, bro. Back in, how many years ago was it that the plasma TV came out? It was like, oh my God, it's $10,000 for this flat screen. It's like, holy Jesus, what the hell's going on? And now you go to Wally World,
$300.
Yeah, and you're paying, for a 55 inch, you're paying $300 on a fucking, you know what I'm saying? And you're like, what?
That's true.
You're like, right now I feel like I'm a superstar because
it's the exact same thing was with the computers when they first started coming out.
Get like an 80-inch for like $1,000.
You only knew somebody who had a computer, and then next thing you know, everybody was getting one.
Yeah, exactly. You
go into these shows, and you were getting them built,
right?
Doing all this stuff.
That crazy shit. Look, indoor air quality. Hemp's natural properties help purify the air, removing dust and bacteria. Hello,
can't beat
you're
that.
Looking at allergies. That it can help deal with allergies. You're looking at that it can help deal with the asthma. You know what I'm saying? Bro, pet dander. So like I said, I'm allergic to pets. So then, your puppies are hypoallergenic and such for me or whatever. But then you go to somebody's house and it might even help with, all of that's going on in the house. Dude, that's freaking crazy to me. But then now here's where the kick in the nuts is: potential for higher initial costs. While the long-term cost of hemp building materials can be lower due to energy efficiency and durability, the initial price point might be higher than traditional materials.
Yeah, but you know what? But in the long run, look what you get.
Exactly, right. And
you're going to make out bigger than you did when you make that purchase for the concrete.
Yeah.
You'll pay that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. So look, you got the uses of hemp in construction. So you got the hempcrete used for the walls and insulation.
Right.
Hemp insulation available for bats and rolls, panels and stuff. Hempcrete blocks. Easy to use and assemble in the speed of construction process, like we were saying before. The roofing can be used for roofing due to its moisture resistance and pest resistance. Hello.
Right.
That right there speaks volumes. Yeah. Hemp fibers can be woven into durable carpets and furnishings for textiles.
Nice.
So, shit, bro, that's insane. Just this one plant that would be able, again, like you said, just be so much better for the environment.
Right, because if it grows randomly, if you can get it to, and it just grows in abundance.
Yeah.
And it grows fast.
Right.
So I understand what you're saying, but I think in the long run you make out as far as the price is concerned.
Definitely.
I think you're making out in the long run for it versus the right away in you step into it, you're going to, in the long run, you're going to make out for it,
Yeah.
for sure.
And
Because you're going to get more out of it than you did what you paid into it.
yeah, but that was the same thing that they say, or that is being said about like solar power. You know, you get the panels, whether it's on your roof or your backyard or wherever you're putting it. The initial cost is like, holy cow, it's bananas, but it'll pay off on the other end because you're not paying that crazy electric bill.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right.
So same idea with the hemp. I guess
It's an
again,
investment. Yeah.
right? Exactly. It's the investment. That's the word. I'm glad you said that because it was like,
Yeah,
it
that's
was
exactly
fun.
what it is.
Yeah,
And,
That's freaking-
my house is perfect because the sun comes right over the top,
Yeah,
the back
man.
of my house
yeah,
to the front, like right
You've
over.
got a good
Right.
setup for it.
yeah,
I would only need it on the back side of the house.
right.
And
Because
don't
it
they
would stay all
usually,
day.
or did they stop doing that? Don't they like pay for the roof or something to be done or something?
They have to
My roof
reinforce
is already
the
done.
roof.
I already have
Yeah.
No, don't you have
new
to reinforce it?
shingles. I have new shingles on my roof already.
No, don't you have to reinforce it to hold the weight of the solar
They have to
panels?
go in and inspect the roof to
and make
see,
sure it's
okay, this is what's going on your roof. We're going to need to do A, B, C, and D. Then they're going to have to install probably like cross
support
beams or
beams,
whatever,
right.
knowing where it's going to fall out. So they knew that when they screwed into the roof, they were catching.
Yeah,
Because they got to tie into whatever's at the side of the
Sometimes
roof.
they'll replace your roof for you though.
really.
Yeah.
But doesn't have to. Don't you have to? Well, I don't know.
I
That
don't
might be
want
in
to do
Jersey.
that. I got a brand new fucking roof.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Right. Well, you don't need that yet. Thank
You know
God.
what I like to
so
get?
you know you're good.
Metal roof.
Huh?
A metal roof.
Those look nice.
Yeah.
Right. So you get a metal
We
roof.
had that
with
stupid
the hemp
hail
installation.
that happened to me.
Oh.
And and then the insurance people were running around, storm chasers, and they would, we're going to do your roof and this, that, and the other thing. And then we wound up, it was a whole big schmeal,
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But think about it though. Same thing with like textiles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They say the most thing that shouldn't be in a landfill, not that should be in a landfill, but most of all is clothing.
Right.
Like blankets, anything like that shouldn't be in it because it takes forever for it to break down. It's not good.
Right.
Rather recycle it, but they can take that type of fabric and break it down and then
That
reuse it
can
again.
be recycled for different stuff.
You can.
And especially, I mean, the number one thing is like filling, like on like pillows and throw pillows
Right.
and
Mhm.
couch cushions.
Right. Sure.
That
I
stuff.
didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. Dude, that's just insane. I think for me, only because of the way I think and
It's
the
just
conversation
shred
that
up,
we've had.
you know?
Yeah, exactly. You
And
know,
and not to
Go ahead, no,
say
go
it,
ahead.
but the vegan part of it too is now you're not using animals.
Yeah.
Mm.
You're using whatever you have in abundance because you have so much of it now. Like
Right,
same with the
right.
plastics. You can use that shit too to do that. Make park benches and do all
right,
this other
yeah.
stuff.
Well, the
These
recycled
parks,
plastics.
right.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
But
wanna say
they
that.
can melt all that shit down. I don't believe it, man.
Yeah. Bro,
But
if we
I'm saying that's why not to go that direction?
Right,
That's the way
yeah.
to go. I mean,
It would be
we're
so
going to burn
cool.
it down.
Yeah, well, just not even the burn it down part. Just that, like you said earlier, just all that shit that's in the landfills. You know
Right.
what I mean? What's the name of the garbage that's floating in the ocean?
What do you mean, all the plastic?
Yeah, the Pacific garbage patch. Yeah, that shit.
It's heartbreaking, man.
Think about this.
When you see it, it's just like heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is heartbreaking, but it's so
Aren't
freaking huge.
Aren't some people cleaning that up and they're using it for like
Right, to recycle. But
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
should be like, we should be able to go in there.
There are
scoop
people
the
that
whole
do
shit
that
up.
stuff for sure.
Right, but not little at a time. I mean, for me, go in there and scoop that whole shit over, get it too close to the land, and then just take it out every day, and
They're
just
doing something.
redo the plastic.
I know they're definitely doing some. People are definitely working to get that stuff out of there for
Yeah,
sure.
because I mean, what now they're using? Holy cow!
They're finding fish and all that
Yeah,
other stuff.
finding
They have-
fish in there
They
and
have
all
plastics in them
that stuff. Right. Mhm.
now. It's crazy.
Yep.
Wild.
The microplastics and all
Yeah.
that shit that's everywhere and whatnot. So, I mean, the fish are eating at it because it's starting to break down little by little, or other
Right.
fish just nipping at it. So it breaks the little
Yeah,
plastic off. And then, like, even now, finding out that the color plastic bottles aren't good for us to even be drinking out of.
Oh,
So that's why even now some of the soda companies have changed their bottles
it's
from
clear.
the colors to the clear.
Yeah,
But there
you
weren't
notice
many,
Sprite-
though.
Yeah, like Sprite is clear.
There it
you're
is.
Right.
Sprite's
Right.
on the clear bottle. That's why,
used to
because
be
come to
green.
find out that
Who
the
was
dyes in
green?
there, Mountain Dew, Mellow Yellow.
Yeah,
Right, they
all
look
that stuff.
clear. You're right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
All of them.
It's
I
crazy,
didn't
right?
realize that.
Yeah, but isn't you call certain sodas green
That's
as
right.
well? Certain
Well, yeah.
ginger ale, certain ginger ales, right?
Well, but the ginger ale bottles, it's like a brown color. The
Or,
ginger
or
ale.
green.
No. I'm talking about the ginger ale itself. The actual liquid, not the bottle.
Okay.
So now they're making them where the bottle is just now clear.
They're
Right.
all clear.
Because
You're right. They're not
they
color
don't want,
anymore.
because those colors,
Yeah, because
the color dyes were harmful.
Right.
Yeah,
The same thing that we were talking
and
about
no
before.
one
The red
thought
dye.
about that
The
because
red dye they
always
got rid of.
associated it with the.
Well, they didn't get rid of it. They made
They
a law
always
against it.
associated it with glass because
Right.
the color glass.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't
No,
throw. It's just the
Exactly.
color of the
And that's what it
glass.
was, because the glass breaks. So they want people getting hit in the head with the glass bottle,
Right.
Yeah.
or a glass bottle
glass was
breaking
no-
somewhere.
no
That's
big
why
deal,
they
I
started
guess.
using those colors though, because Sprite used to probably come in a
It did.
green
It came in
glass
it came in a
bottle.
green glass
So
bottle.
did 7-Up
And
and
7-Up came in that other
Those
color.
remember that?
Yep. All that stuff came in colored glass.
They
Except
just
for Coca-Cola.
continued it. They're like, oh, we want green.
Right, exactly. And keep it in there. And it was cheaper to do the plastic than it was to keep making the glasses.
right.
So then they
Glass
started
is
to
much
recycle.
better.
Right. So they started to recycle the bottles. So they would desanitize the bottles and then refill them and put new caps on them and put them back into circulation. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Did they really do that?
Yeah.
What, did they clean them properly? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't have a
with
problem
the-
with that.
Yeah,
If they
yeah.
recycle them the proper way and then they
Yeah.
can reuse them, sure, do that. I
Yeah,
don't have no
That's
problem
better
with
than
that.
what they do now, because like now it's either like if you live in like in New Jersey, like they collect the recycling, but
Right.
it just
Yep.
gets broken up. And then I know in New York they have the things where it shreds the glass and
Yeah. But so what they're doing is that
the
they,
where you get the money back for the
you do the 5-cent refunds.
yeah.
So they turn around and they get all the plastics,
Mhm.
they shred it or put it in the compactor,
Right.
in the baler. They wrap it all up and then they send it out to get recycled
Okay.
for whatever it is that they're going to use it for and whatnot, and then put into other things. Now that's the other thing too. For certain things, the plastics, the color plastics
Right.
can't be recycled. Certain kinds of plastic bottles cannot be recycled.
So then they need to stop making those bottles.
And that's what the idea is. So now, because our show is about hemp, that now if we have the hemp material and we can make, different cups, different bottles, reusable things. Like we have a water fountain at work where you take your water bottle and you put it up, to the fountain and it fills up your can, your reusable water bottle,
Nice.
as opposed to using or buying, a case of water. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I drink filtered water at home. I have the
Right.
filter pitcher with the filter.
Yes, so do we.
And, that's where I pour my water out of, So then if they do things like that, if hemp can do shit like that,
And bamboo.
and there you go. There you go.
Don't forget about bamboo. Bamboo is that shit grow.
Yeah, I wonder if
without-
you can use bamboo as a cup, man. That would be cool, because then think of how cool that would look. A
Right.
bamboo cup.
Bamboo cup. I'm sure you can get it.
Yeah, that would be freaking awesome, man. But again, what else can we use?
Fastest
What
growing
stuff-
plant on Earth. Some species grow 3 feet per day. Regrows after harvesting without needing replanting, unlike trees.
Mhm.
Requires no pesticides and very little water. Produces 35% more oxygen than trees and absorbs more CO2.
There is.
I may have mentioned this earlier. Helps prevent soil erosion due to its dense root system.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Now you're helping the planet
Yeah,
at the same time.
and you can use it for utensils.
And you're not hurting it. It'll grow.
Yeah.
All you got to cut it down. It's like, what's that plant that comes back every year? Hostas.
Yeah.
Hostas come back every year.
Hostas.
Right. They'll go, and then fall comes, they shrivel down, you cut them down, you bring them to the ground, right? And
Mhm.
next year they come right back up. No
See,
problem.
So look, bamboo is tough and durable. There are a ton of places you can buy bamboo cups online. So yeah, you can even use a bamboo for a cup.
Sure.
Hello. That's not cool.
No, that
freaking-
is. I mean,
freaking
I guess,
amazing
listen,
cool.
I guess it depends on your preference, but, I think if at some point in the future they go in the right direction as far as not worrying about the money so much, but looking to take care of the people that they're serving.
And the
Right.
cool part about bamboo is the wood. You can, you make wood. It makes
Mhm.
the bigger ones are used for
Right.
not lumber for construction, but wood for
They
things
make
like cutting
scaffolds out of them.
boards.
Do you ever see? I don't
Yeah.
know what country it's in, but they can use scaffold. They make
Mhm.
scaffolds out of bamboo and build fucking buildings.
Yeah.
I've seen things. I didn't know.
I'm gonna
about
look that
I've
up.
seen things like, cutting boards and hangers and stuff.
Right, yeah.
Still,
And so that you do all those things. Yeah. Well, I was saying because you were looking it up, so I had already looked it up. So I
You
didn't know if
did?
you wanted to read off of it. That's what I'm saying.
No, I can't. I'm sorry. I don't have my glasses on.
So yeah, you can build with bamboo. It is versatile and sustainable material. A versatile and sustainable material
Right.
that can be used for a whole range of structures, from simple shelters to complex buildings. Bamboo is strong, grows rapidly, and is resistant to pests, moisture. We know that same as the hemp, making a viable alternative to traditional building materials like wood. So then you can use the wood actually instead of. You can use the bamboo instead of the wood.
Right.
There it is. And that it'll be as strong. So now if you're using...
You don't have to cut down trees.
You don't have to cut down the trees.
Yeah.
Like you said, the bamboo grows bigger and faster, whatever.
Right.
So then now you use the hempcrete for like the walls, and you use the bamboo for the framing. Ka-ching! Now you got yourself a super sustainable house. And you know what I mean? If that's not, like you said, and like we were talking about before, in the long run,
eco-friendly.
Super eco-friendly, but it's beneficial to the environment and to your pockets in the long run.
And then you can use
I think listen,
geothermal.
just based on what
there you go.
You know, geothermal.
That's a great thing too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All that stuff is great. You know, and then hopefully we'll get out of our own fucking way.
Yeah.
Right.
Me may not be around to see it.
Yeah.
It might be just at the beginning of it before we depart this wonderful planet.
I'm going to be a cyborg.
You know, it'll be interesting if, I hope that it goes to that point where it's more about taking care of one another.
Yeah.
Not school, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Listen, look.
Nature, baby. Take care of the planet.
Take care
be
of the
good to her.
Right,
She'll be good to you.
Yeah. Yep. So like here, it's cost effectiveness. In some cases, bamboo can be more affordable than traditional building materials. So then the more money that you would spend on the hempcrete,
right,
you would then save, or
in the long run.
No, you would save from building the wood, so that then wood,
I see what you're saying.
So you would use the bamboo as your framing, like I said, and that would be cheaper than using the wood. So then it would even out. So the house would still be $500,000 instead of,
It's super strong.
Yeah.
It is.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, that would be so cool. That would be so cool. Yeah, see, I got to win the lotto so I could build
you
the
and
house over there and,
the whole
make it
damn
happen.
freaking country.
Yeah, pretty much, man.
Right?
Pretty much.
There's not one person in this freaking country who doesn't want to hit the freaking lottery.
Yeah, no lie. Well, I'm just saying it's just that, to have that money.
That'd be great.
To be able to go and, build a house like that. Because you got to get the people that know how to build it to where you are.
Yeah, but you can take the time now to it. You don't have to worry about a rush.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, that too.
You have the, what's the word? The convenience.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be so cool. And then you can even think about, because you can bend bamboo. You know what I'm saying? And hemp too, but I mean, as far as the building. So you can bend.
Okay.
What do you think I say? Oh, okay. Yeah, we want to do that. But you can bend the bamboo. So this way you can make the archways in your, in the house without having, like I said, the wood is a little bit harder.
Listen, I'm sure it's probably difficult to work with. In some aspects. Yeah, I'm sure. Bamboo, I'm sure it'd have to be molded and do all that to it, like they do factory-wise, and break it down and turn it into what they need it into and make it strong.
Yeah, that's got to be.
So too.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just as a whole, it being as strong or stronger, both hemp and bamboo, than concrete and wood. To me, it sounds like a better answer, to build your stuff with. Like I said, especially because, out in the Midwest, you look at the places where there's tornadoes and the hurricanes are killing, everything in its path down south. Well, tornadoes too, but, coming off the southern part of the country. And I mean, use it. All the places that are flood zones. You know what I mean? You have a hemp house and it'll probably be the water, like I said, using it as a basement material. Right. The water probably won't go through. Probably won't seep through the walls and eat at the base of
Listen, Mother Nature at some point is going to probably win, but if you can make it last longer or prevent it, that'd be great.
Yep.
Hong Kong, bamboo scaffolding has been used for centuries and still widely used today. Construction, from small buildings to high rises, and favored for being lightweight, strong, flexible, cost-effective, skilled craftsmen known as scaffolders or tap hang, especially trained to assemble these intricate structures, often without use of the safety harness, which is pretty amazing and a little nerve-wracking to watch.
Hell yeah.
Dude, you wouldn't even catch me on that. Never.
Dude, can you imagine a skyscraper and you're just...
Forget it, bro. Forget it.
In?
That's not happening,
no.
bro.
Yeah, no. I'm with you.
I'll get up to like halfway to the third. I'll be like, I'm good.
I'm good
right here.
Right, hell yeah. What? Well, you need me to watch this window? Yeah, I'll do this window right here. I'm not going any higher. Man, that is freaking insane. Yeah, it would be, man. I'm telling you, I think that we as...
Oh, Thailand too, and Vietnam.
Oh, okay.
China, India.
Yeah.
So it's definitely used. They use it.
Mm-hmm.
They're smart. They're fucking smart.
That's where bamboo like originated from, right? Like they're from Asia, right?
Oh yeah, they come from climates
they've
that
been using it for years,
right.
know?
That's what I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm telling you, people,
I don't get it.
It's crazy how societies are just set in their ways. It's like, oh, we use lumber. We have lumber.
Yeah, it's fucking
Well,
countries.
because nobody knows. Well, it's not just the country. It's just all the other places that are just doing that. Like everywhere that you go, depending on how quote unquote old that area is, the countries, they use different things to build. So, you go out into like England, Ireland and stuff like that. Everything was stone. So they got stone houses, maybe a little bit of wood framing, on the inside for certain things, but their rooms, their walls are all separated by stone. The older buildings, the castles and stuff, you go down into Asia, a little bit further south on that side, it's the bamboo and the things like that's what's, holding up the shingles and stuff.
That's the wild thing when you go to like old countries like
Europe,
seeing these cathedrals have been hundreds of years.
Yeah, out of stone.
Wow.
Out of stone. So then now here it is.
Stone is like...
Aren't they rebuilding Notre Dame?
That's like the ultimate...
They did finish it?
Yeah.
That's really the ultimate sustainable thing.
Yeah. Well, but again,
stone,
and it's one of those things that now what do you use?
Right. But I think long term, I don't think it's really the offset of the mining, I don't think is that bad for the longevity of like forever.
Right.
What do you mean?
What I mean?
The stone?
Like the stone.
Stone,
yeah. Yeah, you say, people go, well, the mining's a lot of,
I'm sure that's expensive in itself, just mining it. Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. The mining is a big carbon footprint because of all the machinery. But when you think about it, if it's going to last lifetimes,
right? But then is it sustainable?
Is that really?
But is it really sustainable? Because now you have to insulate that rock.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying. So then it's
well,
not.
That's where the geothermals come in.
The geothermal comes in,
right? But
then
it's not insulated.
It's pretty cool. Like what they use, they dig underground.
Mm-hmm. They use the coolness from the earth,
5 degrees,
right?
Like that wine cellar temperature,
right?
And that's where they heat or cool that air. So it's a guaranteed 55 degrees. It could be 20 degrees outside,
right?
You're taking 55-degree air, or if it's 90 degrees outside, you're cooling 55 degrees to 70 degrees.
Yeah, exactly. Bad. No, it works and it makes sense. But if
that's really awesome. I would do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. You could do that here.
I don't think I can. I already checked.
No?
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah. It's not in this area.
No. I think depending on the ground.
Yeah. Oh, that's why I just thought you could do it over here. I thought it was
too rocky
more
in this area.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't think about that too.
We're up in the mountains.
But then, again, your house would have to be insulated. So you can't do that in a rock house without having some kind of insulation on the inside of the rock.
It's good if you're in a warm climate, though.
Right. If you're in a warm climate, then it works, and that's all groovy.
Keeps your house cool.
Right. Then you're good to go. But then it depends on where you are. So you can't do that in Florida, in southern Florida, central.
You can't have basements.
That's why I know in South America, like ceramic tiles are that's the state.
I hate ceramic tiles into the house. Oh Jesus!
I know. I'm not a big fan.
You go to South America, I know,
not a big fan.
Everywhere, but because it's hot down there. So
I get that.
You slip on that shit, bust your
I'd rather
ass.
give me the Formica floor. I mean, not the Formica. Give me the wood floor. You know what I'm saying? Like, give me something that's gonna be like that. I can't. I hate a tile floor. And God forbid it's a little bit wet and you didn't see it, you're slipping and you're busting your ass.
Well, don't forget, this stuff hemp can be just like that tile on the floor.
There you go. That's like you started with that. If it's going to be something that's going to be worthwhile, safe, we should use it. You know, we're already in a spot, and I think in our society where we can seriously look and think about doing things better.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
hope
more
so.
economical, because how many houses, how much concrete, are we making to build, however many houses, that we're taking all this wood, all these trees, the rainforest that are just,
Right.
It's like, come on, bro. Like, there's got to be something else or something a little bit different. And only once in a while do you get to watch, like, HGTV when they're building a new house or
Right.
this old house where they always, they usually come up with some pretty cool stuff. And, you only get a couple of houses that people are willing to spend, a little bit extra money to, to have a environmentally friendly house. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's like, come on, bro. Even with the electric vehicles, even I'm talking about like building the electric vehicles, being able to use some of those sustainable materials. Like, if you could use hemp, or bamboo to make the fiber. It's almost like if it's a carbon fiber. So now you're making it. So you're using that.
Right.
That makes the car lighter. So now it's more fuel efficient, whether it's battery fuel or fossil fuels. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Or both.
Yeah.
Hybrid.
Yeah. Right. For me, that's where it's at. That's what we should start looking at.
Do hybrid and work your way back.
Yeah.
Just go from there.
Yeah. Because I know nobody can actually sit and say, oh, gas is just the only way to go. It's not as bad as you think. Diesel is not as bad as you think. You can see it when it snows. I know people down south can't see it. When it snows.
It's black.
The snow on the side of the road is black.
How when it first happens?
No,
at the
right.
time.
Give it half a day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? Give it half a day.
You know why? Because, excuse me, I got a little dry throat. the everything else doesn't melt. So like all the dirt from the
exhaust and everything,
exactly.
Exhaust, it clings on, and then the water melts, and then what's left is all
exactly. So you're seeing all the good and everything that's there.
When you're like in the parking lot, you see the big mounds of dirt, looks all nice, and then after like a few days, when it starts melting, it starts getting and then you watch when it's done, it's all rocks and like all the pavement that like broken off while they're
right. Exactly.
So now you got all that shit that's there in the snow. That's how you know that we shouldn't be breeding all that stuff. Think of how many people have asthma, how many people just have some kind of breathing issue. You know what I mean? The allergies. Hello, these are all things we need to start looking as a society. I feel as a whole, all over the world, we need to start looking at hemp, as you brought up, Lou, with the bamboo.
And anything else.
Yeah, anything else that would help, and what it's going to be to make these things, because, people's biggest argument is about, oh, well, it's the same carbon footprint, because how do you make this stuff? To me, it's not technically the same thing, because if it's only, let's say, a size 10 footprint that's making the product, say the solar panels or the windmills or whatever, it's not you as another size 10 that's, using this stuff. You're a size 1, if that. Does that make sense?
I guess, yeah.
You're not using, it's not the same kind of carbon footprint for you to be living off of
I think
clean energy.
It's in the process, based on what we're reading and what we're hearing, and seeing, it's on the move. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of time when it has this point where it takes off.
Yeah. I'm going to write to that. I'm going to write to HGTV and get one of those TV shows when they're building a house.
Because I'm sure it's because those materials are probably hard to get, because they're not readily, some things, I'm not saying all.
And that's what we're for.
So now you have to order it or whatever.
Yeah. But again, if you're ordering
like you said before, in the long run, you're going to make out.
Mm-hmm. It'll make out on the other end, and it'll be cost.
You would hope so, anyway.
Yeah, because if it costs me $500,000 to build, and on the other end of, say in 10 years, that now, the house is paid for, or I'm sorry, that is, my mortgage has gone down because, or my monthly bills, I should say, I'm sorry, my monthly bills have gone down because, I'm not using as much oil, to heat up the house. I'm not using as much whatever to keep the house functioning.
It'll be nice when society will be able to sustain their own energy for their own home without having to pay somebody to get the energy to power your home.
Right. Now,
Wouldn't that be great? We don't need a power grid. Everybody has their own power system.
That would be
right,
awesome.
so then wouldn't that be the solar energy or clean energy as a whole?
No,
Yeah,
it could be
something
anything.
like that.
It could be,
No, I'm asking, like, would that be considered as not, you not having to pay because isn't that how it is now? If you have solar, or if you have clean energy, windmill,
I mean, you're totally
or
off
whatever.
where you're like, in the
Yeah,
sense
aren't you when you do that? I don't know, bro. You don't want
I don't know either. But
But
all I know is that you're paying somebody right now. You're paying somebody. You're paying whether it's
Yeah.
gas or electric or both.
yeah, I'm saying if
Right?
you got
So
if you got the
I know. I remember reading
if you had something that made their own energy
about
for your
Right.
house,
so that then
then it just powers your house without paying anybody because it's your energy.
I know, like, you do sell
Like,
some
yeah.
power back to the company,
Do you?
the power company, but it's not more than their. You know what I mean? I don't think it's
Oh.
like a negative. Like, I think you still end up using some power, but like,
okay, that's what I'm
you
saying.
save money.
Yeah,
know
you
what I
don't
mean?
use as
Like,
much,
Yeah, so it's
because you use more of the solar energy and some
right?
of it-
Because you're
some of it-
banking hours or whatever you're doing.
okay. That's what my question
Something
is. That's
to
what I was
that.
saying.
Yeah, I think something like
Yeah,
that.
if you get a kickback or whatever because you're giving back into the
Yeah.
to the grid or whatever. Okay.
And every time we tried to,
Yeah.
we got interested in it, we really didn't make money. We kind of broke even.
Okay.
And then we were really just saying, well, we're doing it more for the green thing.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? That's what we were trying to do, but we were like, we just never did it.
Got
And
it.
then COVID hit and
Right. Oh,
everything went into a totally different direction. So
yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I've seen a couple of houses going further up north, and they have windmills on their property, houses.
yeah, sure.
And it's not the big, crazy, airplane propeller looking thing. It was more like like vertical. It was long, like a tube, and it would spin, catch the wind. It was wild. It was crazy. And I was like, oh, snap. And that was that was their windmill. Not something crazy on their property that just
Right.
bananas. It was, nice looking, almost like ornamental.
Yeah.
So, listen, I believe that there's a way to solve the way to aesthetics. I think that there's a way. I mean, I've seen it even too, as far as solar panels are concerned for your roof. They look like shingles. That
Right.
it's not just that one big crazy panel. It looked like shingles on the roof. And that was how you were like,
That's
ooh,
cool.
that's what I'm saying. So I've seen that. So,
That's really
you like the tin roof. So now if you can get it where that tin roof or the copper
And it
roof, I'm
comes
sorry,
in like strips.
it comes in
Right.
strips, and that's your solar panel because it's soaking up
That's
the sun rays. You know what I mean? Hello.
not to get too off.
Now you can tap into
I'm
solar farms
to-
too.
Right.
You
They have
it's
solar
even-
farms
you know,
now.
It's
Yeah.
even cooler though, and that's where if you really want to, I know we're talking about hemp in this, but I saw it a while ago. Those electronic roads, the polygon roads,
Right.
The ones that interlock.
Did
you ever see that?
Yeah, those things are
They
cool.
were LED powered,
Yes.
solar. So they powered the road. They had LEDs in them. They had solar power in them. So, and they were heated. They had heaters in them. That I don't know if it could all be powered off itself, but
Right.
like maybe it put back into the grid.
It's
but
the
like,
future. That is the future, my friend.
But like, but the cool thing is like if you have LED roads
Right.
like that, you can change the lanes. If there's construction, you close the lanes, make them red. If there's an emergency, they would open lanes up for emergency service
Yeah.
based on the road.
See, I only
Yeah.
saw that like
Interesting stuff.
Yeah, I only saw that like it was in somebody's driveway, like a parking
you
lot.
could
type
have
shit.
emergency services like 2 miles up the highway, and they're already the
already
lanes
splitting
are
the
already
lanes.
open the lanes up. For emergency, and it would be
Yeah.
like red boxes, like emergency
Right.
service coming through.
Yeah.
Everybody would move over.
That'd be great.
You could that's the coolest.
That is the
Yeah.
cool shit. Listen, well, with
I
that,
know we
and
love
our-
talking about future.
I know, yeah.
That's like our we get.
That's all right.
We're like giddy.
Our nerdy shit.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the future should be hemp, should be bamboo, as far as
Anything that's
doing like that.
sustainable that they
Anything
can
that's
use, right?
Exactly. Yes. Like that's where I think we
That's-
should go.
Not going to hurt the
Mhm.
environment, of
Nah.
course.
Right.
Yeah. That's the bomb right there, bro. So with that, love, peace, and hair grease.
Live long and prosper.
Gooby.
Holla.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.